All right, hello guys. We are doing another live stream tropical discussion slash update. Right now, we're looking at the satellite for the Gulf of Mexico. We've got something brewing just north of Cuba, and it's pretty much stationed over the Bahamas, the Nassau area, right about now. As I let the viewers start to roll in, I want to get access to the comments real quick on my phone. I used to do it on my computer, but I find it easier to just look on my phone so that I don't have to keep clicking off of the screen. So that's why I do that. By the way, hey, what's up, Weather Hub TV, Weatherman 746, Isaiah Jacob? What's going on, everybody? As more and more people start rolling in. Look at the 12Z Euro run. I will get to that. Do not worry. Hello, Kane Darby, Boomer G21. Lots of rain in Texas, please. We will see. We've got a lot of stuff going on in the Gulf, so it depends where, of course. Katrina Felix, hey, what's going on? Stephen White, is Hurricane Florence going to New Jersey? Well, first things first. I wanted to show you guys. If you haven't seen my Florence forecast, go ahead and check that out. It's on my channel. Something I did want to look at was the 0Z Euro run. We will look at the 12Z in just a moment. I don't believe I've seen the 12Z, but I have seen this one. Okay, as you can see, it just keeps pulling it towards the United States, goes just north of the Bahamas, and it stays right around that area. That's where the run ends at 2 hours or 240 hours. But yeah, so it had it go out, and then you can see here's one right behind it. Actually, this is probably a depression at this point, just never quite gets its act together and dies out. As you can see, this one becomes a tropical storm quite quickly, and we'll be probably following in this one's track. Also, the Gulf system, you can see is right here. Starts to strengthen, hits right around Miami, scrapes over the Florida Keys, and then hits right in Louisiana. I like this track. I've seen it trend a lot. I don't know if I buy the Euro on how strong it will be and how successfully it penetrates the Gulf of Mexico, and I'll show you why in a minute. How was your day yesterday? I wasn't able to get on your stream later on in the day, but I watched it after. Hey, that's cool. Daily tropical updates. What's going on, man? Yeah. Change vorticity, that's a good idea. So here's our system. You can see maintaining tropical storm status at this point. You can see it pretty much stays weak as it hits this shear and dry air. really just a tropical storm at that point. And once it breaks free, once it gets right around here and there's very warm waters on the East Coast, you can see that it likes to, really intensify here, go over 50 miles per hour here, and winds most likely. So really, I don't think I don't really think a New York City impact is even really in the question right now. Obviously, it could hit anywhere, but I don't think this will be anything like that. So, how much snow will it bring? Very funny. Very funny. System could affect Houston over 20 inches. Well, let's hold our horses here. I want to try to find a website that takes the euro out further. Then what was the other website? I want to find the other website I use for models a lot. Uh, I'll have to save that for next stream because I just can't even think of the name. I think, I do think that South Carolina could get hit. I think it's possible, completely possible. This one just seems like it would want to go straight, just straight impact on the coast. I don't see this scraping, especially you can see this clockwise rotation here. It will really just like push it straight into the coast. So they would really be battling a lot of wind if it went up north like a New Jersey, New York impact. So that's what I think about that. Something I did want to mention is I was looking at the NAM. I know it's like, come on, it's the NAM, but I did want to mention this as it takes forever to load because of how high res it is. I'm scared for the Gulf this year as well. Alex tracks the tropics. I'll get to that in just a second. This one is the one that I really wanted to focus in on this stream. You see it, if we look at the location, it's right about here, like I said, just near the Bahamas, southern Bahamas, whatnot. Let's see if I duplicate this. I think there's got to be a better. Let's see. See this one. I would do this one, but it doesn't show the entire thing that I need to see here. We'll do this one real quick. So you see it's right about here is the disturbance as this loads in real quick. It's right about here and it's transitioning kind of over here and it's going to make its way probably right over. It's probably going to make a direct impact with Freeport and then Miami and then hit around the Louisiana, Mississippi area. I think that's the most likely track for this one. But I did want to mention, as we see, it starts to get rotation. And here's our other storm out here. Look at how beautiful that thing is. It's really going to battle a lot of shear in this area. You can see the shear affecting this even, how it's blowing easterly. That's the active shear right there. You have a lot of subscribers. Thank you. It can hit anywhere from Florida to Atlantic Canada. Yeah, absolutely. Any possibility for Corpus getting hit again like last year, or do you think that the Gulf or that the system will stick towards the eastern Gulf? Depends which system you're talking about. It could devastate NOAA, like Lake Charles, along the Bay and San Antonio and Houston. No one has liked. Hello, everyone. Hey, Weather Hub. Hi, Weather Hub. Da 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 da. It is the peak of the hurricane season, so things are about to start getting heat up. Yeah, we're going to see multiple systems, over the next few weeks. This is going to be the peak. So, Hurricane Sandy versus Irene. The new Euro run has a storm taking a more northern track. Yeah, they did update. This morning I woke up and they had updated it to 40% for the long range. Yeah, something like that. 12Z euro. I'm gonna get there. I'm gonna get to the 12Z euro in just a minute. I wanted to make sure I covered this. So you see, honestly, there's a lot of rotation in this that will bring a lot of rain to Louisiana and Texas, most likely. That's what we see right here, kind of just sitting here, just tons of thunderstorms right now in the Gulf. But here's our main concern. See, that almost wants to become like a depression or something, but very doubtful about that. And then you see this probably would be approaching tropical storm. Well, we'll see. According to the NAM. The NAM likes to overdo things. Here, I actually can't wait till we get spaghetti models for this new invest that we're looking at here. That'll be interesting. But we'll have to wait a while until then. So you see tropical depression is 0 to 38 miles per hour. And tropical storm is 39 to 73 miles per hour. So you need 39 miles per hour winds sustained for it to be considered a tropical storm. Probably right there, it's probably a tropical storm at least. It is dealing with a lot of shear in this area. You can, as I zoom in, yeah, I actually last night was thinking that there's no other way this thing was going to even do much. But yeah, now I'm a believer in this one at least. Okay, so we'll look at this one again. And you're going to see the actual winds pushing against it in just a second. Yeah, Nicholas Barreto, my radar NOAA app. You should check out my Florence forecast. I did touch on that a lot about the Saharan dust and everything. So, probably quite shortly. This thing's developing pretty quickly, so probably by tonight we will have some spaghetti model and a lot more access to some things, to a lot more data, I guess you could say, to see for this one. This is a great website, by the way, guys. If you are into just like checking out stuff, obviously you can always just watch my videos, but spaghettimodels.com is a great website for just tons of stuff. You always see me on here. And then also Tropical Tidbits is my go-to for models and satellite imagery. So definitely would take a look at that if you were a weather fanatic like me. This is the winds. You can see the winds pushing easterly pretty much throughout the entire Gulf. So even if this thing does start to develop right here, it's really going to weaken as it approaches Florida and then maybe start to strengthen again as it crosses over Florida right here and have a tiny bit of time to develop as it's about to hit Louisiana, Alabama area. Another solution would be that it hits around Texas, but right now I'm thinking more like Louisiana. That's what the models seem to be in agreement of, but really anything could happen. Here, I need to take a sip of my water real quick as I will begin to read some more comments in just a second. All right. All right. Shit, okay. Whether Up TV and hit the keys is the depression. Keaton 0801. I know that if either one of the systems comes towards the U.S. coast, I live in North Georgia. More than likely, the sirens around here will be squealing because of tropical tornadoes. Certainly possible. I know a lot of times with hurricanes and tropical storms, tornadoes sometimes just start to appear everywhere. Living in Southeast Virginia, we deal with hurricanes probably every other year. A tropical storm or hurricane hits. So I remember one hit and there was just tornado warnings everywhere, like literally. Uh, looks like it actually might form. I agree. Making landfall near Marathon. When do you think that they will classify? Oh yeah, I already answered that. I think Gordon will have a 50 to 60% chance at 8 p.m. Yeah, the chance is increasing. I think the only thing going against it, like obviously we don't have dry air here, is there is a bit of shear pretty much throughout the general area, like everywhere except for where it's at. It's not really favorable for development. Um, I mean, that's really the only thing keeping this thing from becoming like a full blown hurricane. Because honestly, it's a pretty nice wave. It's just not. It doesn't have the environment around it. You can see here, and this is subject to change as time goes on. Where it's at, highly favorable conditions. But once it moves towards Florida, it becomes unfavorable in the green color. And once it gets over the Gulf as well, I'm sure this will become more favorable as time goes on. But still, and this is kind of like um, a mesoscale type thing, so it really does change on a daily basis or an hourly basis. See minimal dry air here in the Gulf. Obviously, there's not typically a lot of dry air there anyway, but you see it's really the least dry where it's at right now, and then it's going to move through this little bit of dry air, but nothing like there is in the Atlantic. Is fall foliage going to be early this year? In the central United States, it will be. In the East Coast, it will be a little bit later than average, if not average. You think it will be rapidly intensify after 50 west? Are you speaking of the hurricane, the one that might become a hurricane, or are we talking about the Gulf one? Are trees going to change color early after moving? Yeah, the Gulf of Mexico is pretty much a hot tub right now. Very, judging by all those thunderstorms just forming there, it is so, I guess, favorable for development right now. It is looking really good right now. I remember during Cindy of 2017, it was nowhere near here, but they sounded sirens several times, and only downside is they put in the street corner, which is where the house is, which is where my house is hard to miss. If something goes into the Caribbean up to the Gulf, we could be in trouble. Yeah, for sure. I mean, right now this one is gonna go from the Caribbean into the Gulf, so it's already gonna happen. I was totally watching college football a minute ago on my TV in silent, and it froze. The Ohio State game, but it's still delayed. So I also like Boston College. What team do you guys like in college football? Is Boston College is destroying UMass. Sorry to get off topic there. Let me get back to the comments. All right. I saw something about the temperatures in the Gulf. Yeah, they're a lot of over 90 waters, which is just really warm if you didn't know. Garden Survivor already going to happen, says who. I don't know what you're referring to there. If you could remind me if it was something I said. I'm not paying attention to sports. Georgia Tech, sweet, sweet, sweet. The European model now takes the storm out to sea. Is there any updates to winter because I live in the country in southern mid New York? Yeah, I'm gonna have a new winter forecast within the next 2 weeks for sure. Okay, we will go to the 12Z euro now. And I will switch to vorticity as well. Yeah, and I really expected this to happen. With this one, I still, like I said, there's only like a 10% chance of it hitting the United States. I think that there's a far better chance of it, even being east of Bermuda. But that certainly compared to the 0Z, it looks like the 0Z was an anomaly. And it broke the trend with the 12Z. All right. What do you think the winter will be like in North Georgia, Cobb County? I think that you guys could see North of Georgia. I think that you guys could see a snowstorm or two of 2+ inches. I think it could be one of those winters, a lot like last winter or 2014 to 2015. So the red dot here. So I will zoom in on the Gulf of Mexico. It's probably as close in as I can get. So you can see there's a tropical cyclone that we've been talking about here. It's stationed right above the very eastern part of Cuba, and you can see it right here as well. This is going to most likely hit around the Florida Keys or Miami, somewhere between the Florida Keys and Miami, and somewhere between Freeport and Cuba. It's going to track straight through there, and most likely it will hit Louisiana or Mississippi. And then this specific one shows it kind of wrap around, but at this point, it wouldn't really be too big of a deal as far as winds go, most likely, but it would be, a pretty strong storm. Not tropical storm at that point, but it would be, I don't know, heavy rains. Heavy rains and pretty windy is what you could expect. Stephen White, I have literally over the last 2 days heard you talk about the fact that the winter of 2012 was mild and hot, probably like 100 times in the last 2 days. What is the point you're trying to get at? I'm just very curious because you said it so many times. I hear you every time. Um, Garden Survivor. I just referred to it as a cyclone. It is not even a depression yet. It is just a invest, and it which means a potential tropical storm of some sort. So hope that I cleared that up. You talked about it yesterday, how now today. I think you're talking about Stephen White. I remember Hurricane Sandy hitting my state. Stephen White, why? I asked you a question, man. Why do you keep talking about 2012? Texas coast could rain, but not like Harvey. Yeah, it shouldn't be anything like that for sure. See, it goes like that, and then really just brings some Gulf moisture onshore. I can give you an idea of the amount of precipitation you could be looking at. Uh, I will get to that in just a second, Raymond. So you can see some areas getting 6 inches on the very coast, but mostly just a lot of areas getting widespread, half inch to 2 inches. Keep in mind that the NAM is known for overdoing precipitation amounts and the intensity of things. It does like to overdo things, so take it with a grain of salt. Um, okay, so as far as the time frame for Louisiana, I will show you right now. This will load. I will walk day by day where the storm's going to go. You can see by right around the afternoon tomorrow, we will be looking at most of the precipitation being around Freeport, with the low pressure system being just to the west. That's when it really develops and then makes a contact right around the northern Keys and Miami area. It weakens just a tad bit and then gets into the Gulf where it intensifies. Then from that point on, we're into Sunday night or Monday night, sorry. So over the course of Monday, it will go through Florida and then be offshore by nighttime. Then looks like the afternoon of Tuesday into Tuesday night is when you would be looking at some impacts there. Hope that helped. I hope we don't have a winter like 2014 here in Georgia. That was when we got the 6 inch plus of snow. I would be able to handle it being from Maryland, but the people here in Georgia cannot. Yeah, unfortunately, 2014 to 2015 is uh my most likely analog that I have for this winter. So it could be a lot like that. I want cool weather. It's too hot and cold weather back. That was from one storm in February. Yeah. 12Z GFS keeps possible future Gordon half as strong as 12Z European shows if future Gordon develops. If wind shear doesn't tear it up, hoping. Yeah, there's a good chance that this thing could really get eaten alive through like pretty much after it crosses Florida, most likely. Even before there's going to be a bit, but right in this area, there should be plenty of shear to really halt it from developing. If it gets a lot of development right now, we could be looking at a tropical storm in the Gulf, but we'll have to see, especially when it snows. They abandoned their cars in 2014. Yeah, it's just ridiculous in Georgia. So I wanted to take a look uh, if the GFS. So you see, the GFS is really showing more chance of this thing getting into the Gulf than it was beforehand, I believe, because the GFS was the one really not showing it do much. Yeah, so you see, this is, has it at 25 to 30 miles per hour in that area, most likely. And then it hits right around Louisiana, right in here. This one doesn't take it to Texas. This one takes it up here instead. I feel like Steven is a bot as well. Yeah, the GFS is coming along from what I see right here. Steven, why don't you answer questions if you're not a bot? um, because yesterday, or even like 60, I'm pretty sure. Oh, well, the 60 had it. And the last one I saw was the 12Z yesterday. That's when I was like, probably nothing will come of it, and it's really just come a long way from there. I mean, to go from that to this is amazing because this is 30 to 35 miles per hour, or not, sorry. So even more than that in miles per hour. So really, we would be looking at almost a tropical storm at this point. Yeah, I think that we can take a look at winds real quick. Yeah, we'd be looking at about 30 mile per hour winds, which is enough to bring branches down, but not a whole lot more. Um, yeah, so right around approaching 30 miles per hour. So it would be blustery for sure. It'd be blustery. And the NAM shows a little bit more of a northern impact, it looks like, and a little bit more winds. As the NAM shows a full blown tropical storm for sure. The NAM shows us pretty much achieving tropical storm status very shortly, as in 10 hours from now, which would be insane. The NAM has it showing about, 42 miles per hour, 45 miles per hour as well. I don't get what you're saying because trees change colors more when it's colder than when it's warmer. So I don't get your point, Steven. They would start later if it was warmer. It's been in the 90s the past week in my state, which is very hot for around here. Yeah. Hi, I just got in and saw the notification talking about the Gulf. I heard that parts of Pennsylvania had flooding. Hmm. Hello, Harley Davis. Hurricane Weirdo. I feel like whatever it does, it will bring some equal squally conditions to the Gulf Coast. Yeah, yeah. Winds will most likely start to develop here. Sean Halderman. It really just depends. According to these models, it does look like it's a possibility. that we could see some sort of rapid development considering this would be yeah, I mean, I it depends what you mean by rapid. I mean, pretty fast development, yeah. I don't think that the Northeast will get hit at any point this year by a hurricane. Hello, Storm Rider from Ohio. How's it going? Yeah, let me show you the total accumulated precipitation here in the Gulf. You can see with the moisture before the storm and then after the storm as well, you can see that a lot of Florida gets, according to this, gets about 12 inches of rain. The NAM tends to overdo precipitation, so take this with a grain of salt, of course, like I always say. But a lot of rain for the directly impacted areas. And then also these areas will get quite a lot of rain with pretty much widespread 2 to 6 inches through these areas, according to this model. Yeah, if it doesn't hit Florida, you're looking at a lot better chance of this thing, blowing up. And as we look at the radar, you can see that it is just absolutely blowing up. When was this last? Yeah. So even once we started this stream, since we started this stream, this has grown a lot. We'll look at visible real quick. Let it load. You can really see these tall clouds, and it's really getting organized. And you can see this too is pretty intense. But you can also see these winds in the upper atmosphere in these areas pushing this way. That's what's really going to battle the whole thing. So we will see what wins. Yeah, I agree. Hurricane weirdo. I agree. Yeah, definitely interesting to see this thing developing here. We can refresh everything to see if we have any new information. Looks like the new model run has been updated. You can see nothing really brings it into hurricane territory, only two. This is Florence, by the way, that we're talking about. Um, Here's again the shear that I was talking about. You can see that there is moderately weak shear in this area that it will have to interact with. I think that it could, deal with it. And then once it breaks through the Gulf, it's pretty much going to be able to do whatever it wants and develop as much as it possibly can. Yeah, it is starting to develop quite a bit. As of right now, there's obviously a chance. This Gulf one, there's pretty much a 0% chance. The one that is, developing near the Cape Verde Islands, that one has about a 10% chance of interacting with the East Coast in some way, but most likely we'll go out to sea even east of Bermuda, so pretty far away from the East Coast even. Yeah, Mike. Oh, so basically, what shear is going to do is it's going to take the top off of a storm. Let me see if I can find a satellite again where you would be able to see. Basically, you see how pretty much everything is moving towards the westerly direction towards Florida, but in the upper atmosphere, you can see that there is clouds that are moving the opposite direction. Now, these are the upper clouds that are moving towards east. They are moving in an easterly direction where the underlying stuff is all moving west. So what's going to happen is this tropical storm, as it develops, is going to try to get really tall clouds as it's developing. Now, the problem is these upper winds are moving in the opposite direction that the lower winds are moving at. So that's going to be pulling all of the clouds that are trying to develop off of the storm. And we've literally seen in strong shear type situations, if a tornado moves through it, I've seen the entire top of a hurricane be taken off. And it looks like there's two hurricanes because the shear has taken the top off and taken it somewhere else because it's moving in an opposite direction. Now I'm trying to think of a good analogy to help explain this. I guess well, it's kind of like a football player getting tackled, somebody underneath tackling you in the legs, and then from the other direction somebody tackling from you from above, and then you kind of just go flying everywhere. um I guess that wasn't a very good analogy, but it's kind of like that. It's force coming from two different directions at different vertical layers. Hopefully that is something that you can understand. So as it interacts with, it really just depends how strong it is. If it's still trying to develop once it interacts with this, it likely, won't be able to get much development going. If it's already getting very established once it moves into this, it could possibly survive. Yeah, it could be a tropical storm for sure. I think that I mean, according to some models, it could approach tropical storm status before it even gets to Florida. So, yeah, shear was one of the later things that it's one of the harder things to understand in meteorology, on a dynamic level. But once you learn something like that, you don't really forget it. So, hopefully, you keep that information with you for the rest of your life now. Whenever you hear somebody say it, you'll know what they're talking about from now on. Yeah, I certainly think that this will become a tropical storm at some point. Probably. At least a tropical depression. And I don't know about high chance. We'll have to see for sure. You can see that we have a 40% chance. Uh, there's our low pressure system as well. We'd have to see. We'll have to see if they send a plane or not. Yeah, if this thing starts to get developing now, which on visible satellite, it really looks like it is starting to blow up. They'll probably up it to something around a 60% chance, which would be the upper end of moderate. Uh, maybe NOAA. I don't really pay attention to their outlooks too much. Um, as far as tropics go, I know that I'm calling for a below average hurricane season, according to the data that I've seen. If anybody has any other questions, I'm totally up for answering them. It could be totally anything weather related. Doesn't have to be about this video, for sure. If not, I will wrap it up very shortly. Let me go back to the comments real quick. Hurricane Weirdo, I think it'll be an average season. Yeah, I think it'll be a below average Atlantic season, but an above average Gulf season. I think that it'll be around average or below average. I think below average hurricanes, above average tropical storms. That's what I'm thinking. Can't wait for winter either, Mike. Geezerman, thanks. See you next time. See you, man. Do you think that there will be that one blizzard to remember in the Northeast by New York City? I really feel like New England will get it this year. I think New England's going to get one. It's going to, leave a mess. I mean, I'm talking maybe a 2-footer, 3-footer storm. I think they will get a big one in New England this year. Do you think that wind shear will go away? It'll weaken. It'll vary in strength. Obviously, it already looks to be slowing down in a lot of areas throughout. Just east of Florida. And here you can see that it kind of settles down. So that's something that's on like a micro level that really could change pretty quickly. So it can't really be forecasted too well in the future. I can really quickly. Let's see here. One of these I know has shear that you can look at. Which one was it? Did this one have it and not the normal GFS or something? I know that one of them does. Oh, wait. Is it now? I don't know. Yeah, it's been really favorable winners, a lot of favorable winners for New England for some reason. A lot of stacked winners like that, so they are pretty used to it. But I think there could be a one like the big one that hit Boston. I think that it would really be more of an interior snowstorm hitting more of the western portions of Massachusetts, maybe Vermont, portions of Connecticut. upstate New York areas like that. Maybe Maine gets in on a lot of it. Wind shear, yeah, wind shear might be less than expected for sure, according to the way it's blowing up. Yeah, I think that where it's at, there's a lot lower shear than people thought, and definitely the shear already seems to be weakening where it's going to go. So we will see. How will temperatures be in New England this winter, and how is precipitation going to be? I think that there will be above average precipitation with below average temperatures. Um, Good question, Mike. Now let's see. I think that I really like what I did said for the East. I think that I'm definitely sticking with that, with the above average temperatures in the East. Just the CFS. It's always all over the place, though. Oh, of course, of course. Yeah, I still really like my forecast. You can see this pretty much agrees with it. Generally, above average temperatures for these areas, average temperatures for these areas. Really calling for above average, but you gotta take it with a grain of salt. Yeah, yeah, I'll still take my forecast. We can kind of see. You see that there is troughing that tries to hit the central United States frequently, and you can see that this is a persistent ridge. And every once in a while, there'll be a trough like this in the central United States, but really quickly followed up by heat and really above average temperatures. New England gets some troughing, but really likes to persistently stay above average as well. Um, and really will most likely be average and below average temperatures here. And like I said, towards the second half of September, you see that it starts to become more ridging in the west and then troughing in the east. So really, we'll have to see. By this point, we really could be looking at below average temperatures in the east. I think that that will be more of an October thing this year, but certainly the second half of September, you could see more frequent troughing. Still think it'll be average to above average temperatures overall, but we'll see some colder days, cooler days, lots of 60s starting to become more common towards the end of September. Adam Fitzgerald. Yeah, this could be a pretty good winner. Up there with 2009 to 2010, 2014 to 2015, or something like last year was pretty good, pretty decent. But certainly, I think it'll be like a 2009, 2010, 2013, 2014, or 2014, 2015 winner. Those were all super good winners for the Northeast. I want to see. You said for my fall forecast as a whole, yeah, I think I like my forecast. CFS always has to be taken with a grain of salt because it can be iffy, for sure, to say the least. This hasn't been updated in forever, and neither has this. This one updates on the 8th, and the other one supposedly updates on the 1st of every month, but we are past the 1st of September, and this is not updated, so likely we'll see this update tomorrow. Yeah, I still like my fall forecast. I think that I'm going to stick to it. No changing it now. We're already into fall, so we'll see what happens. But I certainly like it. Obviously, stuff like forecasting a hurricane is a lot more accurate than long range stuff. But yeah, seasonal forecasting has always been my favorite. Anyway, I'm going to get out of here, guys. I hope you guys have a beautiful day. Maybe I will have another live stream tonight, probably more brief than this one if it becomes a tropical storm, the Gulf one that is. If I see any major changes heading into this area as the spaghetti models come in, it's Cool, Levi Cohen. Yeah, yeah, I know him. Yeah, he's in a Facebook group of mine. I've actually talked to him before, so we're pretty good friends. What do you think New England temps will be like mid-October? I think by mid-October, that's gonna be. I think in the East, New England's gonna be the slowest place to transition to the colder pattern. So I think that's when you're gonna start seeing more traffic in New England is right around mid-October. All right, Mike, I will try to make a new live stream tonight. Anyway, see you guys later. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe if you did enjoy the video. I will see you guys later.